Hello and welcome to another one of my webcam talks. Today I want to talk to you about um, the police and justice and how that's been, and a few incidents that I've been made aware of recently that has led me to question if in fact the forces that be the forces that enforce law and order are to be trusted and are indeed working for our best interests. That's questionable. So I've been looking around today. I mean, the first thing I found, you probably already heard about it anyway, was the Hillsborough disaster. Today it was quite an historic moment in the British Parliament because the British Prime Minister, David Cameron, has apologised to the families of the Hillsborough disaster. It was a game between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. And there was a big crush in the stadium basically, and I think, what was it, 94 people died that day, including very young children, some as young as 10, 14. After 24 years, the families have finally got a statement and an apology, and it's been found after the 24 years that the police covered up their failings by manipulating statements, withholding evidence from the official inquiry, and of course blaming the fans as well, saying that they were drunk and people were trying to get in there without tickets. They even went as far as to test children after they had died for the blood alcohol levels. Children, some as young, some as young as 10 or 11. I mean, just to sort of perpetuate the lie that had been told. And it's been concluded that the sole reason that happened was because of a lack of police control. Simple as that. They didn't do their job properly, and as far as I can see, no one has been adequately punished for their failings. No justice has been done. I'm sure this statement is not really going to affect the families in any way. How can an apology satisfy you after such a big loss? I mean, it can't. It's just very sad. And another case was one that you're probably familiar with as well. It's quite old now, but it's still ongoing. It's the Ian Tomlinson incident. Basically, he was a British newspaper vendor, and he was walking home during the 2009 G20 protests. Basically, what happened was he was leaving home, and a policeman, his name is Simon Harwood. He's part of the territorial support group for the London Metropolitan Police. Ian Tomlinson had his back to this man, and he took his baton out and beat him, I think, once or twice on the legs, and pushed him down on the concrete floor. Now, Ian Tomlinson didn't die from this. He actually got up, but subsequently he collapsed and died. There was this first post-mortem done, which concluded that he died of natural causes. Now, the person that did this, a pathologist, I think is the correct term, his name is Freddie Patel, and since then he's been struck off as a medical practitioner for a catalogue of errors after a tribunal from the medical practitioners found him to be dishonest and incompetent. So he obviously lied to the inquiry about the cause of death. I don't know why. I'm not sure what he had to gain from that. I can only assume that he was bribed or blackmailed, or there was some sort of under the table deal with the police and the powers that be. And after the initial inquiry, 4 days later, this video emerged of Ian Thomason being struck by this man, Simon Harwood, and it clearly shows Tomlinson being hit from behind with a baton and pushed to the floor. There shows no provocation. He was not a protest to this man. He was just trying to get home, and peacefully, and he was killed for it. He was charged with manslaughter, the officer, and he was found not guilty, which I can't believe that verdict. It is, you can clearly see from the video and all the evidence there that this police officer killed that man. There's no other explanation. He killed him, and he's basically got away with it. There is, however, an internal disciplinary hearing to see whether this man gets to keep his job or not. Personally, I think this man belongs in prison. He shouldn't be policing the streets. Just a thug, a Nazi in a uniform, basically. He's got away with it. If that had been another member of the public that did this to Ian Saunderson, he'd be put in prison straight away. I'm convinced of that. It's just a terrible travesty of justice. The hearing on the 17th of September, conducted by the Met, will be a good one to watch to see where it goes. Although I'm not holding my breath. Again, I feel sorry for his family and his friends. He was taken away, and it looks like justice is not being served. Again, the police and the powers that be are not looking towards our best interests. That's clear. If you look at it on a wider scale, the austerity measures in the Eurozone, Greece and Spain, you've got, there were big protests, there are big protests going on in the street against government cuts and cuts to wages and all that sort of thing. These people are desperate, they've got nowhere else to turn, so they've been forced to protest on the streets. And, the police are beating them, shooting them with rubber bullets, all sorts of things, real violent repression of people. And these people, most of them have done nothing wrong. They've only got one choice left, and that's, direct action. And, they're being shot at on the street for it. By the people that actually caused this crisis, the bankers and various other people, as far as I can see, have had no criminal investigation against them, nothing. They get away with it scot-free, while ordinary people, they're bearing the brunt of this. They're paying the price. So, can you call that justice? Is that justice? Are we living in a in a time of a two-tier justice system where it's one rule for one and another rule for rich and powerful, and the people working in, various institutions like the police. I think so. I think this is a crackdown on freedom of speech, and it's a crackdown on liberty, and it's a lack of justice. That's clear, and it's troubling because they're slowly eroding our rights and our freedoms. Soon no one's going to be able to get justice. It's going to be them and us, and no in between. These are just some cases. There are others. The Stephen Lawrence thing. If you want to look into that, the information's all there for you. That family had to wait years and years for justice to be served. There was failings on the police part then about how they conducted their investigation, and a lot of them were found out to be racist, and so they can't be trusted, as far as I'm concerned. I'm aware that it's a very hard job to do, and often they're putting their lives on the line, and I'm sure some of them are good people, but that, to me, that is no excuse. There needs to be, there needs to be a higher level of scrutiny towards these people to make sure that they're doing their jobs properly. That's what I see, and that ordinary people like you and me get the justice that they deserve. Those are my thoughts anyway. So, as always, I'd like to hear from you, whether you've got anything to say, good or bad. I'm interested to hear what you think. I'd love it for any policemen or people that work for the government to contact me regarding these issues. Fascinated to find out what you've got to say for yourselves. And yeah, I'll take it from there. So I hope this talk's been interesting and enlightening. Certainly has been for me, researching it all. And I hope to see you again with some more fascinating information from the world we live in currently. This is me, signing out. Keep those eyes open. Bye.